Hi, my name is Dr. Dave Master. I am a private pediatrician, and I'm also a dad of one, but I also feel like I'm a dad to hundreds of others.
I am not a mom to hundreds of others. I'm a mom to one. My name is Dr. Sutapa Maiti. If you want to add the master, that would be okay because we are married. I'm an internal medicine doctor. I did my residency out in Kingsburg in Brooklyn. And then I came to Northwell and did a fellowship in geriatrics and a separate one in palliative care. Currently, I do advanced illness management for the homebound patient. So we met 14 years ago in medical school. We were best friends, study buddies, and then, over time it became something more. And in terms of how our relationship influenced our careers as physicians, we were each other's biggest supporters, even though we were doing different things. And that continued on. You go through so many phases when you're becoming a doctor, and from med student to applying to programs, residency, and choosing whether or not to do a fellowship. Is that in your interest? To when to have kids, what type of practice to go into, how do you manage a small child as you are attending. I don't think there was ever a criticizing moment or I have to give this up moment, because we just rooted each other on and found a way to make it work, and that positivity was evident in our work as well, because he loves what he does, I love what I do, and that's the only way you can make it after going through so much, especially with the pandemic.
So piggyback, same thing, like we both obviously met in medical school, and I basically say we were both each other's cheerleaders through the entire medical school, clinical rotations, residency, fellowships for her, and then our attendings lives, we're basically a support system through the ups, through the downs, through the hardships, through the laughter, It was great to have a partner who understands a lot of the ins and outs. I might be pediatric, she might be internal medicine, but we at least could relate and understand call or holidays where we gotta work, weekends we gotta work, nights, So it was great, we supported each other and we let each other flourish, and thrive through medicine, which can be a very tough journey. So it was nice to have it with my best friend, and great support.
What inspired me to go into medicine? I loved science, and I was actually a chemist at UC Berkeley, and I realized I missed people, and I didn't want to be in a lab. So I went with my gut, and I slowly went into medicine, and it was just one foot in front of the other in making sure I was happy and loving what I did every day, opposed to my career prior. And in terms of, who influenced me or who do I look up to, I would slightly say my mother, of course, and my father. They were very education and career-driven people. And I want to say now, it's my daughter. I want to set a good example for her like they did for me. So she motivates me, when you're exhausted, it's COVID, you've been working for 15 hours straight and you still have phone calls. I am inspired to show her that, look, mommy's going to step away and be with you, and then she's going to go back to this while you're sleeping. And it gives her a really good sense of work ethic. And I remember when she was 2, she would just pull up her little toy desk next to me and have her little toy phone. These were not together. She put them together as a 2-year-old and start making phone calls and call herself Dr. Maiti. And I just love that she wanted to help. So that's my answer. What about you?
Yeah, for me, my inspiration was actually my mother. My mother's a pediatrician as well. We actually worked together in private practice. So growing up, I saw her all the time, taking phone calls, answering patients' questions, I grew up partially in the office we work in, so I got to see it. I got to see what she did, and I just fell in love with it. I always wanted to do it, and I always told her that I think I want to be a pediatrician. I feel like that's my calling. And of course, as I went through medical school, I said, let me actually feel and see if it actually fits. And it was funny, it did fit. Like, I did clinical rotations, and pediatrics always felt right. It always kept me with a smile on my face going in and my smile going out. So, that was my inspiration. The pandemic, I feel, has affected medicine in general from all different healthcare workers, doctors, providers I've talked to. Me personally, as a pediatrician, I had to deal with a lot more death than I'm used to, and it wasn't my patients, actually, thank God, It was actually parents. I lost a lot of parents, I lost grandparents, I lost aunts and uncles. So to change from doctor to support or therapist for patients or even the parents or relatives, it was a big change in pediatrics. I'd never seen it before in my career, and it was tough. Sometimes I don't have the answer or don't know what to say, to the children. I just am there for them, I'm there to support them, maybe cry with them, but it definitely was a big impact, and it changed my perspective, for really appreciating family, my wife, my daughter, the rest of my family really made me really love and appreciate them more and understand life.
Echoing that, we're on different sides of the spectrum. I do palliative care. There was a lot more need of palliative care in the community. People weren't in hospitals, people weren't in any facility with any medical professional, and my niche of doing advanced illness in the home was really growing quickly. Our needs were growing. People had expectations of basically hospital, sometimes ICU level care in the home. So it was a great way to advance my telemedicine skills, to use my resources better, and empower my patients so that they could have the dignity towards their end of life they deserve in their home. But it was exhausting as well. And, we're all still adjusting to it, I think, 2.5 years later. Yeah.
So medicine definitely is a stressful career, that's a fact for sure. And ways that I find to manage the stress is to make sure that I take care of my mental health, that's very important. The great thing is I have a wonderful partner right here, my wife, to talk about different things that give me stress or anxiety, to have someone to talk to understand, to hear me, that's very important. And another key factor is knowing boundaries, for both medicine and life, because medicine can have no boundaries, medicine is night and day job, and you have to understand where to draw the line and take care of yourself and make sure you take care of your family and whoever else is important in your life. And without ourselves as doctors or healthcare workers, we cannot be great at what we do. So we have to take care of ourselves so that way we can take care of our patients as well. And we have to be the role models for our patients as well.
Well, piggybacking off of what Dave said, I'm a huge proponent of boundaries. We have so many expectations from our colleagues, from our patients, from admin, and you have to set boundaries, otherwise you will burn out. And we've definitely been on either side of that. You want to be the good person, be available at all times, but then you don't get that mental break. So I'm a huge proponent of setting boundaries and sticking to them even when you want to go above and beyond, just so that expectations aren't broken and you aren't shot even more emotionally at the end of the day. And then we always say that you take care of yourself. You may not be able to do what your colleague does, and we call that to each other swimming in your own lane. Your colleague may be a great mother that runs every day and runs the PTA, has her own practice, so on and so forth. And for me, it was always realizing what I'm doing has to work for me. And if I have to let go of a hat, that's fine. If I'm just mom and physician and wife, that's okay. And there's different parts of our career where that will ebb and flow, and gotta swim in my own lane. All right, piece of advice for anyone, being medical, not medical, attending, med student, doesn't matter. It's all things will fall into place when they're supposed to, and don't go chasing things because other people are doing them. I'm a huge proponent. Coming out of fellowship, so many of our colleagues, they expected this great life to suddenly occur, and it is such a transition. It takes years to get to where you thought you were going to be immediately. So I always say it will come in time. Don't, count your eggs before they're hatched, and make sure that you're working toward your goal with happiness and not frustration.
Yeah, that's great points. My main advice to future physicians or anybody in any career, is find happiness in what you do. I tell my patients all the time who are college bound, especially, it's be happy in what you do. Try to find whatever you do the happiness in it. I find my happiness taking care of children, and young adults, and helping guide them and see them grow. I find that happiness, in that. So my key advice is find happiness in your career, and then it'll help, one way to help burnout as well in that factor.